Hey friends, we are looking at Gusteau's restaurant. This is an homage to the restaurant you see in the Pixar Disney film called Ratatouille. And this is set by ENJBRICK, set number 1067 with 2,376 pieces. It is a open style back that has the kitchen area here, and it has the dining room area in the front, and it has a lot of loose pieces, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But just to catch you guys up, if you haven't seen the film Ratatouille, the most of the movie takes place in this fancy French restaurant, and we actually do not get any minifigures here, but you do get a rat, and so we'll show you that one rat. One of the areas that you see a lot in that film is the alley. So the alley is kind of represented by this back area, and this is where Linguini parks his scooter, or maybe he rides a bike. His bike. He has a bike back here, and I think it's Colette who has a scooter. All right, and then there's the main entrance, and the in the film it's much taller of a structure, so this is kind of scaled down, and it's got that open back, and then it's got like a skylight area that I think shows up in the film too. And there's some areas in the film that are not represented, but we'll zoom in. We'll take a closer look at everything. Starting out front, we have a sign for Gusteau's, and it's actually kind of similar to the one you see in the film. I'll put up the one from the film as a reference, but you can see that the whole building is much bigger in the film. Fairly decent architecture, just the different details that you've got around here, and then the use of the sand green and these handcuff pieces just to create detail along the top of the buildings are pretty good. The red awnings, I like those. They did a good job with that. The choice of red, the brown, the tan did pretty good. The name of the restaurant is here. This little sign says TC7540. You have a water feature, two shrubs these are probably minifigure hair. Oh, and I want to thank my buddy Tim who built this, by the way. So thank you, Tim, for doing that. You got a front door with double doors leading into the main dining area. Street lamp, and then as we get move over here a little bit, you have another sign and some of the piping that's out here on the street. And the piping, most of these are hoses that you have to cut yourself to size. So I'll put a picture of what it says in the instructions where you need to do that. Another street light, a stop sign, and then you get a sense for the alley area. And in the alley, more piping that you're going to have to cut to size yourself. There is a mop that comes with it. I couldn't quite figure out where to put the mop, so that's where I put it. The number 23 is here. Number 23 is a inside joke or an Easter egg for Disney and Pixar movies. Every decoration that you're seeing here is actually a sticker, so that's something to keep in mind. There is the double doors that lead into that kitchen area, and these are doors that I'll put a picture of what those look like if I can find it. And then one more sconce here, and then the brickwork along the floor is really nice, and that reminds me of that alley. Coming around, let's start with the kitchen, because this is a film about cooking. So you get that main central cook area, and it has different things that are on there ready to go, and some things are just loose, like this one is loose. There is a pan back here, and the orange stud on it is also loose, so both of those things are loose back there. Thankfully this is clicked in, and they give you a bunch of those. They give you a bunch of that, I don't know what you'd call it, silverware or cookware. And they basically said, put these wherever you want, is what the instructions say. There is this cart. The cart is free rolling, and it's loose on its own. And on the top of it, you're supposed to arrange this dish with this croissant and these three tiles. very, very difficult to do. And I'll show you a picture of what the instructions say that's supposed to look like. Incredibly hard to do. And I honestly just failed. I couldn't quite do it. I'm going to move that to the side for now. And then that brings us to the rat. So it includes a rat back here, a little black one. He's got a printed eye. And it's a strange decision to make it black because Ratatouille is light gray. So if you're going to make a restaurant called Gusteau's and you're going to play with Disney's IP fire, then you're going to just go ahead and you should have just made it a gray rat. So I don't know why they made it black. I think at the last second they chickened out. Either they chickened out or it's a huge mistake. So I don't know what the story is there. There is a counter on the side here with a croissant that, yep, is loose. Um, and there's a porthole above, and I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if the manager, what was his name, Skinner. I don't know if Skinner's office had a porthole or not, but I feel like it was just a more of uh, a normal door. The stuff that you're missing here in this side of the restaurant are Skinner's office, as well as the refrigerated area or the pantry where the food was. Those are things that showed up in the film, but you don't see them. You don't see them here. All right, and then a little bit hard to see, but there is a back area where Linguini first makes that stew in the back. So that's back in there, and it has a cook area behind as well, where that orange pot is and that teapot is. So that whole area is one area where Remy and Linguini first meet, and they're back there making that first soup that he has to then recreate. There is supposed to be a doorway into the dining area, and that's what this is, but it's missing a porthole. I think that's what they looked through to see what was going on in the dining room, and that is not in there. So now moving over into the dining room, you see Gusteau's name is above the door. You see the double doors that come in, and it has these sconces that are actually maybe too low and they actually stick out too much. I don't think that was a good use of those particular parts because I think most minifigures would bang their head against one of those. Let's bring one of my minifigures in. You can kind of get a sense for scale there, right there. There's one of my minifigures. And he's going to hit his head on that sconce, so that's a little bit strange. There's the couple of tables, different dinnerware on it. Another table, they have you put two loose pieces along that plate, and there's also another table back here, and that table has a loose little pink piece on it. The table uses these frog pieces for decoration. You do get a look into the window from here, or sorry, a look from here into the kitchen from here, so that's kind of cool. And then the rest of it is sort of open, but you can think of the critic when he comes in to eat. Maybe he's seated here. What was his name? Ego. So maybe Ego's sitting here when he tries the ratatouille for the first time. That blows his mind and helps him give Gusteau's a favorable rating. All right, so that's all of those things there. And then there is one more thing that this does, which is it separates. So I will show you that. So here's where it separates. Let's use the brick separator it came with. Check out this brick separator. I guess it can be slotted in there. Come on, there we go. All right, so it's held in with a tiny clip right here. And it's only one clip, so it actually pivots like this. So it's not a great choice. They maybe would have done better putting one more in there. But you'll see that this side of it is quite plain, and then this side lets you get a better view into that part of the kitchen, as well as the skylight area above. So here are their skylights, and then you get a better look into the kitchen area where they have those stoves. And I want to say there was a sink in here too in the film, a little bit of gold railing as well, and then the windows that go out and look out into the street. So in general, I would say that this set is probably not for everyone. It's not necessarily a play set. There's just not enough room to get your fingers in there and place characters or minifigures. It doesn't come with any minifigures either. And it's not quite an architectural set either. So it's somewhere in between. So I'm not sure who this set is going to appeal to. Maybe somebody who is a huge fan of Ratatouille and just wants something to sit on the shelf that will draw attention and just prove how much of a super fan they are, because this is probably one of the few ways you can get a brick built version of Gusteau's. So maybe that's who this is for. But if you are an inexperienced builder, you may find some of the build techniques challenging or frustrating. And I think it was my friend Tim who said that a challenge in the set for the right reasons is fine. But when there's friction or there's a challenge in the set because of poor design or poor engineering, that's not great. And he pointed out different areas where it was hard to put together because they would stack, for example, several vertical pieces together that should have been locked together sooner so that then you could put something across the top. And then by the time you go and put something across the top, it was difficult to do because they had gone too vertical too much with those columns that then start to shift and alter position. So there's things like that that they could have improved. Maybe, we then give it a B or a C grade for it. So it's up to you. What do you think of this set? Let me know in the comments. If you're interested in the set, there is an affiliate link that you can use to go get this over on Amazon. All right, so like the video if you like it, subscribe, and I'll be able to keep finding interesting sets like this to share with all of you. Okay, thanks so much.